Hello everyone, handsome and beautiful viewers. Welcome to the Manhwa Recap channel. If you enjoy watching, don't forget to support me by liking, subscribing, and sharing so that more people can discover the quality content from my channel. Wishing everyone an enjoyable viewing experience. Today, let's continue to follow the next developments of the story. I got stuck in the same day. For 1,000 years in the upcoming chapters. At this moment, Mr. Du is acupuncture for Hobai. He speaks, Mr. Wu, the toxins in this girl's body have basically been eliminated. The only thing left is to take care of her to regain her health. But remember, during the treatment, Miss Hobai needs to remain calm, recover step by step, nourish her body, and avoid too many emotional ups and downs. Wu Chen replies, Okay, I understand. Thank you, Elder. At this time, he unexpectedly receives a call from an unknown number. He answers and asks, Hello, who is this? The voice on the other end replies, I am Mary Stanfield, introduced by Tom. You have some free time? Let's meet and talk. A little while later, the plump lips of a beautiful woman slowly light a cigarette. This beauty is Mary Stanfield, who has arranged a meeting with Wu Chen. She speaks, I apologize for coming uninvited, but I truly cannot wait any longer. Wu Chen responds, Tom has already told me, but I'm sorry. I've been a bit busy lately, so I don't have time to entertain you. Mary puffed on a cigarette and said, That doesn't matter. Now I will talk to you directly about the main issue. She continued, The thing is, I have a friend who just returned to China to deal with some personal matters. Her name is Deng Juju, and she is of Chinese descent. While Juju was discussing business, she caught the attention of a low-level official. His name is Qiao Bian Cheng. He fell in love with Juju at first sight, which he calls love at first sight. Therefore, he deliberately made it difficult for Juju's business dealings. After several disturbances on the night before, Qiao Bian Cheng found an excuse to meet Juju and started to make advances towards her. But Juju couldn't stand it, so she fought back, delivering a powerful kick to his tea set, causing one of his marbles on the left to break. His father sent someone to capture Juju and imprison her. I have no quality connections in China, so Mr. Wu, can I ask for your help? Wu Chen replied, If it's not too urgent, I might be able to figure something out. But right now, there are really too many things to resolve. I'm almost exhausted. Mary understood immediately and replied, I understand. Mr. Wu, I will wait for your news. 2 days later, Wu Chen rushed over to visit Hobai. He called sweetly, Bai, are you awake? Hobai just opened her eyes and saw him, and she was speechless. Wu Chen, why are you? Hobai turned her face and cried, asking, At least you like my sister. Why are you here looking for me now? You never liked me. Wu Chen smiled and replied, Bye, what are you talking about? Whether it's you or your sister, I like both. Only children like to choose. I want to take them all. Hobai heard this shameless tone and said loudly, What I'm talking about is pure romantic love, not the kind of love you are referring to. Lavadu reminded, Mr. Wu, remember that during the treatment, Miss Hoa needs to stay calm, nourish her body, and avoid extreme emotions. Wu Chen felt even more grateful to Ho Lai since she was willing to sacrifice her life to save him. He never expected to be misunderstood by Hobai. Thinking of the scene of holding both sisters, he recalled that he had never interacted with them in the 1,000 years of reincarnation. Therefore, he had never thought about the possibility of being with Hobai and Ho Lai. But now the situation was special, and Hobai's recovery had to be the priority. Wu Chen patted her head and said, What I mean is just like the kind of liking between a man and a woman, the same understanding you have. Hobai asked, Is that really true? Do you really like me? She turned her face away and burst into tears. But I was drugged. Now my body is like a zombie. I don't know if my body can ever be normal again. Wu Chen immediately hugged her tightly, reassuring her, Don't be afraid if there's any problem. I promise to take you around the world for treatment, no matter what it takes. At this point, Hobai was even more moved. She could also feel Wu Chen's sincerity. 3 days later, at Hoadong, in an alley, a younger member spoke up. Leader, did you have fun drinking today? How did you find the drinks I made? Bai Xiu Wen laughed and said, I had a great time, but unfortunately, I couldn't invite that girl from before to the hotel. But it's okay, we'll continue tomorrow. But he could notice that Mary was charging towards him with a weapon. He quickly realized and raised his hand to block. The powerful force of Mary broke the stick in half. He shouted, What Dan? Where did this crazy woman come from? Filled with resentment, Mary pulled out a knife and thought, It must have cost a lot of money to find out why Mr. Wu couldn't do anything like that. It turns out it's to take revenge on the one who harmed his lover. In other words, if I can deal with this person, Mr. Wu could help me save Juju sooner. But as she lunged with the knife, Bai Xiu Wen was able to block it and shouted, There aren't many people in this world who could defeat me. He was pleased with himself and turned to grab the knife, continuing, Bai Xiu-wen, how could I let a woman deceive me while I'm alive? One stab is already hard enough. I don't know why you want to assassinate me, but I no longer wish to find out. You must die. The knife lunged towards Mary, but a gunshot rang out, hitting Bai Xiu-wen's hand. He turned to glare at Wu Chen, filled with rage, as if he wanted to eat him alive. Wu Chen, along with another combat machine, approached. He spoke up, Bai Xiu-wen, we haven't settled our old debts yet. How can I allow you to incur new ones? Bai Xiu-wen's blonde subordinate shouted, Dare to shoot my boss. I'll fight you to the death. But before he could charge, Wu's subordinate kicked him in the face, causing him to spit out blood. Bai Xiu-wen frowned and asked, What the hell is going on? Is this crazy bitch working with you? Wu Chen coldly shouted, Shut up. The gun was aimed at him. Another shot rang out. Wu Chen gave him another bullet, one in the hand and one in the leg. He then stamped his foot on his face in anger. You are filled with murderous intent. It was just fun last time. But I told you this. Ho Bai has just recovered from a serious illness, and I am determined to save her. So I need to accumulate kindness for her. I will spare your life. Don't think that because you have foreign power backing you, you can have other nefarious intentions. Remember, if there's a next time, I will ensure you die a miserable death. After leaving, Mary spoke up. I want to help you, but it seems like I'm actually making things worse. Wu Chen replied, I promise you that I will save Deng Juju. In the future, I will definitely find a way. If I say I can do it, I will do it. Next time, don't do things like this again. Mary responded, All right, Mr. Wu, I made a mistake. A while later, Wu Chen returned home. But just as he was about to take a nap to relieve the fatigue, he was astonished to see, Ha! What are you all doing here? In front of him stood 3 wives who had been waiting for a long time. Each of them was dressed very attractively. Tian took his hand and pulled him back, saying, Bad guy, close your eyes and obediently follow us. King Bin added, Honey, we've never seen you so tired. We truly feel sorry for not being able to take better care of you. The eldest sister, Ru Bing, helped him take off his shirt, saying, I don't care. From now on, for the next 2 days, you are not allowed to do anything by yourself. We'll take care of everything. The 3 girls forced him onto the bed to rest. Tian massaged his hands, saying, Great villain, does this massage make you feel better? Ru Bing helped him lean against a very soft pillow, slowly massaging him as she said, Honey, listen to me. It's been several days since you had a decent meal, hasn't it? Don't let it happen again next time. Xing Min gradually fed him, saying, Honey, eat up. Open your mouth. Indeed, the life of kings cannot compare to the author's imagination. So the 3 of them turned off the lights and went to sleep. Tian spoke up, And also, you big villain, you've never fasted more than 8 days like this time, right? Stingvin below said, Thinking it over, I feel more and more sorry for you, my dear. So pitiful. This time, let us help you, okay? Thus, everyone took turns sharing. The lady, of course, was first to provide the feelings that only Wu Chen could bring. The next morning, after a night of sleep, Wu Chen, feeling full of energy, thought, Whoa, I felt incredibly comfortable sleeping last night. It's been a long time since I felt this refreshed. The lady had long been awake, she said. My love, are you awake? Don't wait, Tian and King Min. Come outside. I have something to discuss privately. Outside on the balcony, Ru Bing spoke. I know everything about that girl Mary and your intention to repay a favor. The high-ranking official who is holding Deng Juju is the senior minister, Qiao Zhenbang. He is an old schoolmate of my father. He is famously known for spoiling his children. Wu Chen replied, Actually, I know many anecdotes about Mr. Qiao. I have a solution, but I'm afraid that if I do so, it will open Pandora's box. By then, many innocent girls will suffer because of it. Ru Bing handed him an envelope and said, I know you will still go, so I use my father's name to help you meet Minister Qiao. I hope he can show respect for my father and maintain face for both sides. A day later in Beijing, an old man spoke up. At least if I didn't have to care about old Lai's face, I would have kicked you out a long time ago. I'll give you a minute. If you have something to say, just say it straight to me. This was a senior official, the minister of some department, Qiao Zhenbang. Wu Chen said, Minister Qiao, I know your son has a rebellious and indulgent nature. His greatest joy is his romantic escapades. After being dumped by Deng Juju, he suffered a slight functional decline. You went to the United States to find the best doctor, but no miracles happened. He feels life is meaningless, which has worried you day and night. But I have a way to cure your son. Minister Qiao's eyes were skeptical as he said, Oh, is that so? Go on. A week later in the capital, at some hospital, Xiao Bian Cheng joyfully said, Dad, I'm back to normal. I've fully recovered. Ha ha ha. That's great. Truly amazing. My brother can rejoin the world now. Xiao Zhenbang looked at his son, equally astonished. He thought, at first, I thought treating a dead horse like a living one wouldn't really work, but it actually had an effect. Recalling earlier, Wu Chen had said, Minister Qiao, you can let your son try my internal activation device. If it doesn't work, there's nothing to lose. And if it does work, I also have an advanced treatment. Xiao Biancheng excitedly asked, Dad, I remember you talked about that guy Wu. Is there really an advanced treatment for the thing inside me? It needs your help. You should let him transfer the patent. I want to venture into the business world. Hearing this, Mr. Qiao frowned and asked loudly, What are you talking about? He then cunningly imagined that his younger brother could not only be revived, but might also become stronger than before, making it easy to deal with several other issues. He said, Dad will arrange basic training for you, but you are not suited to be an official. Every day I think about making money and women. I am very tired. This device not only saves me, but can also help many other middle-aged men. If it's brought to market, I could build a huge business empire. This way I could enjoy life openly and no longer be a burden to you. Wouldn't that be good for the whole family? He saw Mr. Qiao deep in thought. He then clung on and pleaded, Dad, please help me. The old man helplessly responded, All right, let me talk to Wu Chen again. The next day, the old man scheduled a meeting with him in the office to talk. Well, the thing is, this internal activation device is really effective. I also want to see what the advanced regimen you mentioned is like. Wu Chen then brought out the valuable materials and said, Minister, you can train with me. The advanced regimen is actually a lost technique from ancient times. This is a treasure for nurturing health. Mr. Wu then stood up to show his muscles and practiced his movements. Just properly practicing the self-assertion technique for 3 minutes can wipe away all the fatigue from the body. Training correctly will absorb the vitality energy into the Yang channel, achieving a state of being youthful and strong even until death. Could this be Mr. Wu's ultimate technique to enhance health, serving the ladies in the harem? 3 minutes later, Mr. Qiao was training with Wu Chen. The old man spoke up. Indeed, 3 minutes is enough to completely remove fatigue. He thought to himself, Biancheng has a keen eye. What this Wu has is truly a treasure. Wu Chen spoke up. Minister, if your son's troubles have been resolved, can Deng Juju be released as innocent? The old man hesitated and said, Initially, she caused serious trouble and injured others. Wanting to be released as innocent is nearly impossible. However, due to a long-standing relationship with Old Lai, since he asked you to find me, I certainly cannot refuse. It's just that. Wu Chen also realized this and continued. The only thing is that the activation device inside has to be transferred, and these 20 ancient secret techniques must also be taught fully to the minister and his son. Isn't that right? I see you quickly understand. Mr. Qiao at this moment could only make coffee, remaining silent, as he didn't know what else to say in rebuttal. Wu Chen smiled subtly, thinking, Before coming to the capital, I had anticipated that no man would see these two things and not want to claim them for himself. Half a day later, outside the prison, Wu Chen and Mary had come to pick someone up. A girl pushing a cart spoke up. The procedures are completed. The person is now in your hands. Seeing her girlfriend still unconscious, Mary hurriedly asked, What's going on? Has Juju been tortured to the point of becoming a vegetable? Wu Chen replied, It's not that serious. For now, let her go back to rest, monitor her for a couple of days, and then we'll see what her health is like. After a while back home, Wu Chen asked in surprise, Aren't you supposed to be at the hotel taking care of Ms. Deng? Why have you changed clothes and actions? Mary responded, I've come to a realization. Juju has been very tired for a long time. The huge stone in her heart, I need to help her break it. That person is Lang Xiao. Hearing this, he exclaimed in astonishment, Lang Xiao, the national martial arts champion who often teaches physical education everywhere, captivating numerous female students. Yes, indeed, that scum. He fell silent, recalling that in the cycle of reincarnation, he and Lang Xiao had once both worshipped Chang Jing, the master at the martial arts peak, to learn the techniques that strengthen the body. He was his senior brother. However, in the current timeline, he no longer had any memories related to him. He held her back and asked, Mary, how did Lang Xiao hurt Ms. Deng? Can you explain it to me? Mary replied, If you really want to know, I won't hide it from you. I will start from the moment I met Juju. Back then, my business was still quite small. One day, I went to Juju's school to deliver a puppy to a student, and that's when I met her. I fell in love with her at first sight while she had just gone through a trauma during her studies abroad. It took me a lot of effort to win her over. Finding a partner in North America is incredibly difficult, and this was the first time in my life that I felt I had found one. But after actually being with Juju, I realized that she didn't like women, yet she always trying to please me and be close to me, but her body showed no reaction. When I asked her, she never spoke about it, only when she was asleep would she occasionally mention some names in a few scattered situations. It took a year and a half for me to record her vague words, find someone to analyze them, and gradually understand. It turned out that when she was studying in the country, Juju had been deceived and hurt by Lang Xiao. Now that Juju has become like this, I don't want her to live with regrets. If something unfortunate happens, I have decided to break Lang Xiao's legs and drag him in front of Juju to kneel down and apologize. But just as I was about to leave, Mary clutched her chest and exclaimed, "Ah, my chest hurts so much." She collapsed right there. I hurried over to support her and asked, "What's wrong, Mary? Are you injured? But forgive my rudeness." I pulled down her shirt and saw a large bruise on her chest. Mary spoke up, "This is an injury from confronting Bai Xiu Wen. During the fight, that person took the opportunity to counterattack with a fatal blow. It really is true that hitting the lungs causes pain, my friend." Wu Chen thought to himself, after all, his ability to withstand blows is not any worse than mine. He said, "Mary, for now, you won't be able to deal with Lang Xiao. After all, he is a national martial arts champion." Mary insisted, "No, if Juju doesn't wake up, she will carry that regret for a lifetime. I must do this." He patted her shoulder and advised, "You saved Ho Bai's life. If you sacrifice yourself in China, I believe Ho Bai would also be heartbroken. Let me handle bringing Lang Xiao to apologize to Ms. Deng." He thought Lang Xiao had many female students infatuated with him, and it was all thanks to his years of practicing an ancient method of physical training, especially now that this method has fallen into the hands of Cao Bian Cheng. The internet has developed further, and if these two join forces, I'm afraid, but I won't let that happen. Absolutely can't allow these two womanizers to unite, or there would be at least a few hundred illegitimate children in China. The next day, in a small alley behind the school, the young man Lang Xiao spoke up. "Jin Shu Yan, my dear, I am your teacher. How can I date my own student? This is impossible. It truly goes against the ethics of being a teacher." Jin Shu Yan replied, "Mr. Liang, class is over. Once we step out of the school gate, you are no longer my teacher. I am no longer your student. We are just ordinary people. Why should we pay attention to such things?" She then hugged him tightly, sweetly calling out, "Brother Liang, kiss me. Hold me close." The young man hesitantly responded, "Not here." She continued, "You mean we can't do it here, right? Then let's find another place." The scene shifts to a room where Jin Shu Yan pushes him onto the bed and says, "Liang, I understand that you love me but can't say it. I know you are suffering. In fact, I love you too. I don't want you to struggle anymore. Let's love each other happily." At this moment, Lang Xiao's face turns red as he replies, "Oh, why didn't I notice? We are already here." Jin Shu Yan says, "What are you doing?" "No, don't do that." She adds, "Liang, don't say anything. Just relax and enjoy." At this moment, Wu Chen claps as he walks in holding a camera and says, "Wow, Liang, so you are playing this game? I really am getting an eye-opening experience." Liang Xiao exclaims in surprise, "Or are you? What are you talking about? I don't understand what you are saying." Wu Chen replies, "Is that true? Use our sex Kai conducting Kaigong to guide Qi into the blood vessels and joints of the eyes. This can hypnotize others." Wu Chen immediately reached out and snapped his fingers, calling out, "Jin Shu Yan, look here." The girl was preparing to take off her pants, and Lang Xiao immediately turned his attention to Wu Chen. She crawled over and said, "Brother, so you are my true love." She didn't say much and made a familiar gesture, saying, "My boy." Wu Chen quickly knocked the girl out again, as he couldn't let it go on any longer. He spoke up, "Sorry, Kim, you need to calm down a bit." After placing her in a corner, he said, "Brother Liang, don't be too tense." Liang Xiao, interrupted, was angry and ready to fight back, responding, "Who is your senior brother? You're talking nonsense, trying to distract me so you can sneak attack, right? I'm not that easy to fool." Wu Chen laughed and said, "The known Taoist among 20 pieces of exquisite brocade doesn't lack skill compared to me. But I'm not here to fight with you. Do you still remember Deng Juju?" Hearing this, he panicked but still had to pretend to respond, using an unknown person's name to make me think nonsense. "I told you, I won't fall into traps like this." Wu Chen continued, "I knew it. Brother Liang has taught countless female students. How could he remember each one?" The young man questioned, "Stop dodging the issue. What you actually want?" Wu Chen calmly replied, "I want you, Liang, to promise me two things. First, to meet Deng Juju and sincerely apologize to her. Second, to not disclose the Qigong method, the No-One Taoist, among 20 pieces of exquisite brocade to anyone." At this moment, Lang Xiao breathed a sigh of relief and said, "I thought it was something serious. You wanting to swear never to flirt again, is that all? But apologizing is easy. How will you know if I'm sincere?" Wu Chen then threatened as he pulled out his smartphone. This will make you do it sincerely, brother Liang. You don't think I just recorded the conversation you had with student Jin, do you? Right? Look and see what else is inside. Seeing this, he was so angry he could hardly speak. Wu continued to threaten. Everything you have cherished most over the years is here. Even if you don't remember their names, this is your most important achievement. He obediently replied, all right, I'll do as you say, okay. A while later at the hospital, the young man knelt down and slapped his own face repeatedly. Liang Xiao approached Deng Juju's hospital bed and said, Student Deng, I harmed you. It is my fault and I sincerely apologize to you. Please forgive me. I am truly sorry. Wu Chen stood behind, not forgetting to record this moment. Mary called out, Juju, open your eyes and take a look. That guy Liang looks like a dog begging for your forgiveness. Look at his tormented, remorseful expression. Get up and look. But unfortunately, Deng Juju is still in a coma, unresponsive. At this moment, Wu Chen received a call. Mr. Wu, there's a big problem. He replied, take it easy. Xiao died, the sky isn't falling. On the other end, sisters Tao Man Ying and Zhuang Xiao Dai were in a hurry. Xiao Dai said, after accepting the invitation to meet Director Harvey, Mr. Li has been out of contact for a day and a half. Man Ying explained the situation. Mr. Wu, here's the thing. The new film that my sister-in-law and I are working on has received good results. A few days ago, we received an invitation from the Emmy Awards saying that the film was nominated for Best Actress in a feature film category. Mr. Lei Cheng took us to the US to check it out. The Emmy nomination is real. Therefore, Mr. Lei Cheng was invited by the TVC owner Harvey Byrne to discuss a major Hollywood film project for next year. Unexpectedly, Man Ying continued, Mr. Lei Cheng wanted to help you sign a quality contract, but then he went missing and couldn't be contacted. Wu Shen reassured, sister-in-law, I understand. Let me think of a way. I'll contact you later. At this moment, Mary spoke up. Mr. Wu, I just heard you say your friend is being troubled by Harvey from TVC. Perhaps I can help. A few days ago, he called me. I often go to his house to take care of his pets. At this point, Liang Xiao angrily stormed off. Wu Chen replied, oh then. He quickly grabbed his arm and called out, Brother Liang, wait a moment. Ha ha ha, brother, I have to trouble you with another task this time. Although he was angry, the young man did not dare show it. One day later, a girl appeared, pushing a cart to the gate of a villa, saying, Pet Center, taking the little one for care. An old man stepped out from inside and said, finally you have returned. For the past 2 to 3 days, my beloved children have not eaten. My joy is decreased by 90%. Please check on them quickly. Note, the beloved children are the 2 snakes that Harvey bought from Mary to keep as pets. Suddenly in the carriage, Liang Xiao appeared out of nowhere. The two shared a passionate gaze. Wu Chen exclaimed, the No One Taoist among 20 pieces of exquisite brocade of Brother Liang is truly skilled, transcending the ordinary. Not only does he mesmerize young girls, but even the roughest guys are no exception. Wu Chen said, ask him, where is Lei Cheng? Where is he? Old Hardy replied, my 2 kids have been sick for the past 2 days with no strength and no appetite. He is in their room. Wu Chen hurriedly said, keep an eye on him. I'm going in to rescue someone. After searching for a while, Wu Chen burst open the door and saw his brother Lei Cheng being embraced by 2 snakes, nearly fainted. Wu Chen angrily shouted, Brother Lei. He quickly threw 2 darts at the snakes. Brother Lei slowly opened his eyes and said, Harvey wanted me to lure Xiao Yi outside, but I refused. Luckily, only I got into trouble, preventing her from falling into his trap. Wu Chen replied, Brother Lei, don't say anything more. Conserve your strength. We'll talk when we get back. Later, Wu Chen brought Brother Lei back to the living room and said, Brother Liang, force him to confess all the disgusting things he has done. After a thorough interrogation, Liang Xiao had to angrily say, ha, this foreign guy is really outrageous. His disgusting behavior is even worse than mine. A person who does nothing good. Wu Chen thought, he has serious mental issues. Anyone who goes against him is forced to use poisonous insects and snakes to threaten them, causing people to be terrified to the point of losing control, living in horror, and even suffering to the point of death. Fortunately, those 2 snakes were sick and weak. Otherwise, Li would likely have been poisoned by them. After that, Wu Chen took Li back. Sister Tao Man Ying hurried out to receive her husband. Wu spoke up. Sister-in-law, Lei has suffered a lot over the past few days. I have contacted a doctor and they will be here shortly. 10 days later, Lei's health had improved and he invited Wu Chen to his home. Lei Cheng spoke. I didn't expect that in the past half-month. Lei Zhang, you took advantage of my absence to undermine most of the underground relationships I've built outside Donghai. I need to return quickly. Wu Chen replied, Yes, Lai Zhang Yu is still entangled with Ding Duan Long. It's true that Lei needs to return to keep an eye on him. At this moment, old Tom stepped out and said Mary's lawsuit against Harvey was dismissed because the submitted documents were invalid. Mary's shop has also been harassed by the Animal Hygiene Supervision Agency, causing her business to be nearly at a standstill. Wu Chen asked, "The forces behind Harvey have started to protect him. Who is the judge in Harvey's case?" Old Tom replied, "It's Judge Salmon Chase. This person is really not easy to deal with." Wu Chen said, "If there are core interests being exchanged, then it won't be a big issue." He pondered the cycles of his past lives. The number of foreigners he remembered was not many, but he was still one of them. Because when the next president takes office, he will become the supreme judge of Congress, the most powerful person in America. What day is it today? He then walked over and said to Tom, "Tonight we meet here." Old Tom took the card from Wu Chen's hand, bewildered, and gasped. At 9 o'clock that night, the two brothers went to the bar for drinks. Suddenly, there was a commotion over there. A young man was knocked to the ground. Ugh. The young man angrily said, "You just said a few words and you think you can develop a relationship with Miss Giada. What's wrong with you? People are celebrating a birthday and you ruin the whole atmosphere." Suddenly, at that moment, a stunning beauty with an incredibly hot body glided past Wu Chen. The young man then spoke, "Giada, don't be angry, let it go. I've dealt with the troublemaker. Can we continue?" At this moment, the beautiful woman brushed the young man's hand aside and said, "Who wants to stay here with you? Please don't use my best friend to call me out again. It's really getting annoying." The young man had to sincerely plead, "Giada, I really don't mean anything else. Can we start to be friends? I truly want to get to know you." Giada said with disdain, "Don't think that just because you are Wall Streetites or come from wealthy banking families, you have the right to pursue me. You're not on my level." She then took the initiative to show intimacy with Wu Chen. "Giada, if I have to choose today, my choice is him." Wu Chen, who was sitting casually sipping his drink, felt a bit uncomfortable due to the interruption. The young man was surprised and questioned, "What? Giada? Are you joking? You don't even know him. How can you choose someone so insignificant?" Seeing his discontented expression, Giada felt a bit more amused. Wu Chen, not paying much attention, gently brushed her hand off his shoulder and said, "Miss, please have some self-respect." Old Tom said, "Bro, it's too noisy here. It's really not suitable. Let's move somewhere else to talk." That young man was horrified and wondered, "Ha! Why is there someone in the world who has the fortune to be chosen by Giada and still dares to push her away? Is this person even a man?" Giada felt a bit unwilling when being rejected. She glanced at Wu Chen and thought, "I didn't expect someone not to know who I am. Good, this guy has a bit of charisma. You have successfully captured my attention." A day later, the two were walking down the street while doing some official business. Old Tom said, "Bro, follow me, I can handle this." But at that moment, before he could finish his sentence, the sound of a supercar came rushing towards them. It was none other than Giada. She spoke up, "Where are you going? Do you need me to give you a ride?" Tom was stunned and said, "Hey bro, she." Giada immediately pointed at him and said loudly, "What do you mean she? I'm talking to him. This is not something for outsiders to interfere in. This doesn't concern you." Indeed, this beauty had the most audacious mouth in this whole story. Giada continued, "Wu Chen, right? You are the businessman selling intelligence, a capitalist, a senior partner of two major gangs in Loxia, a special guest of the powerful princes and crown princes in the Middle East. By ordinary standards, you are indeed very successful." Wu Chen immediately burst into laughter, as he had always been the one investigating others. He never expected that one day someone else would have such detailed knowledge of his personal information. He asked her, "Is this an investigation on me? What do you want?" Giada replied, "I don't want to talk on the street. Let's go somewhere else." After saying that, she stepped on the gas and drove away, leaving the two brothers standing in the dust. Tom spoke up, "Hey bro, I was going to tell you she is." Wu Chen smiled, thinking, "She is the daughter of Judge Salmon. Her full name is Giada Chase. She is a woman who will reach the highest positions in the political field in the future, and she is the only one who can change Judge Salmon's mind. You don't think that we were just putting on a show in front of her yesterday for fun, do you?" In fact, all his calculations had been planned by Wu Chen beforehand. From the timing, the location for drinks, to the skills of pretending to be a pig while eating a tiger, he had to say he was a master in flirting. The scene shifts to an apartment. Giada and Wu Chen now had a private space to talk. She spoke up, "Please forget everything you saw yesterday at the bar. I have no relationship with him. Moreover, I have never had any relationships with any other man. I am not the kind of woman who is easy." Wu Chen responded, "Why are you telling me this? We just met for the first time, right? Giada actively moved closer to him, making a few somewhat seductive gestures. When her mischievous hand was about to wander off, she said, "It's nothing else, just to build rapport. To be honest, at first yesterday, I only intended to use you to block those who were harassing me. I didn't expect you to actually have some skill." Wu Chen felt as if a mountain was pressing down on his face. Feeling somewhat uncomfortable, she took the opportunity to reach inside, intending to listen to his heartbeat. Wu Chen quickly stopped her, saying, "Is this what you want me to do? It doesn't seem like a very serious matter, does it?" Seeing this, Giada was also quite surprised. She replied, "All right then, let's get down to business. There is a person named John Johnson. He is a former soldier from an elite commando unit. Later, he opened a club that appears to be a gym, but behind it is an organization for adventure games, which is expanding globally. Anyone who wins the game receives $1 million. Because of this, many people want to flock to participate in hopes of changing their lives. However, the losers disappear without a trace. John is backed by a very powerful force. Even my father cannot gather all the evidence. In the next presidential election, the party behind John is the biggest rival of the party my father belongs to. I need to know exactly what they are up to, and you are the most suitable person for this." Wu Chen spoke up. "You want me to help gather evidence to overthrow the forces behind him, thereby helping your father's party win the presidential election?" Giada immediately handed him a stack of documents and replied, "That's right." Wu Chen thought for a moment and then said, "John is a member of the active party, isn't he? I remember now in the previous cycle, it was the active party that won this election. This opportunity has come at just the right time." He seriously agreed. "Okay, I will investigate this matter, but I also have a condition." Giada replied, "As long as we achieve the goal, I will agree to any condition. 3 days from now, the club will organize a game. I will arrange for you to infiltrate it. This is the outfit for participating in that adventure game." The scene shifts to 3 days later at the Thunder Club. There were several other young people also participating to earn money for the new year. A blonde young man cursed. "This messed up life still has a chance to turn around, so we have to give it our all." The chubby guy said, "If I win $1 million, I'm going to Thailand to enjoy myself." Wu Chen glanced at them and thought, "I thought I would disguise myself as staff, but it turns out I am a participant." Outside, there are a few young men dressed modestly in popular purple outfits. The game rules have 3 rounds today. The first round is about breaking fingers with a time limit of 1 hour. Whoever breaks 2 fingers of others first will be allowed to enter the resting room to wait for the next round. There are no limited rules. Anyone who fails to achieve the target by the end of the time will also be eliminated. Once again, it is emphasized, everyone has signed a life and death commitment, with no accountability for life and death. The countdown, 3, 2, 1, go. The players quickly scatter and run in all directions. Wu Chen pretends to be at a disadvantage to run away with a group of people. Behind him are the sounds of cracking and the desperate cries of a few young men. A young man with dark skin has completed the task by breaking the fingers of 2 other young men. He laughs loudly, "Sorry, I'm going first." Ha 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 ha. At that moment, a young man took the opportunity while Wu Chen wasn't paying attention, grabbed his fingers confidently and said, "Still not paying attention. Then let me make the first move. I'll let you taste it, so you remember for next time." The young man exerted force but felt something was wrong. When he tried his best, he couldn't. Wu Chen spoke up. "Is it just you who wants to take me down? You're still quite green." He quickly changed his stance and a clack sounded. The kid cried out in pain as his index finger bent backward. Wu Chen seized the opportunity and ran away immediately. He joyfully thought, "My goal is not to win the game, but to gather evidence. That's the important part." He began to scout around and noticed a few masked individuals not far away, armed with guns. He pondered, "Bending 2 fingers is one thing, but I can't say I can't break my own finger." Wu Chen then broke his pinky finger himself, letting out just a small sound. To him, this was just a simple technique of flexing bones. Wu Chen presented the evidence. The 2 young guards looked on, bored and uninterested in speaking. Didn't expect to encounter a smart daredevil. They finalized the information and announced loudly, "Wu Chen has passed the first challenge." Wu easily passed through. He took the opportunity to return his joint to its original position. He didn't expect this childish trick to be useful, allowing him to outsmart them. At this point, Wu Chen stepped into another room. He slowly opened the large door in front of him. He silently wondered, "I wonder what the next game will be." At that time, the other players slowly made their way to the second game. An organizer spoke up. "You all have worked hard, so now let's take a break. Resting is the next game. Each person must find a way to survive in the designated area for 5 days. There are canned goods and drinking water available. Remember to search. Keep in mind that prioritizing rest is paramount and do not get injured." Afterward, everyone was taken down to another underground level. Wu Chen looked at the announcement board above. He contemplated the words of the previous speaker. The keywords were survive for 5 days and no injuries allowed. It seems the point is to seize items and injure others, he thought to himself. Then the group became chaotic, running around shouting, "You idiots are still standing there. Hurry up and find survival items." Wu Chen looked at them. What a bunch of foolish people. As long as he himself didn't have any items, he would remain safe. First, he sought a suitable place to establish a safe shelter to rest. Wu Chen soon found a room and took a nap to recover for the second day. At that moment, he felt a bit hungry, so he needed to go hunting. Wu Chen found a high vantage point to observe the entire area below where the battle was taking place. The bald man was slowly wreaking havoc everywhere he passed. He was robbing a young man who was desperately trying to protect his belongings. The young man shouted, "This is the item I risked my life to snatch. I won't let go." But just a few seconds later, his loud voice was knocked away. The young man intended to pick up his bag of items when suddenly a swift figure flew by. He stood there, bewildered and full of questions. When he regained his senses, he realized he had been robbed. He angrily shouted, "Son of a bitch, dare to steal my stuff, stop right there." But in the process of chasing, a metal rod suddenly flew in from afar, hitting his supporting leg. Thus, the master thief successfully escaped. A moment later, there were bags of loot on the ground, and the master thief was none other than an incredibly alluring beauty. Wu Chen appeared from behind and said, "It seems like half of what you stole should belong to me." The girl immediately recognized him as the one who had thrown the metal rod. "So was you who helped me earlier?" Wu Chen cheerfully extended his hand and said, "It seems that trying to get through this round alone is quite difficult. How about we team up? My name is Wu Chen, and nice to meet you." The girl replied, "My name is Casey." Wu Chen said, "I have seen your abilities. I have a plan that I want you to listen to. I guarantee it will be effective when we work together." So Wu whispered something into the beautiful girl's ear. Her expression was very intrigued. A little while later, Wu Chen took his bag of items into a narrow alley. He played the role of a prey and said, "Oh, are there items here? That's wonderful. Finally, I have something to eat. I don't have to go outside to fight and compete anymore, and I won't have to starve." But from behind him, a group of people wielding weapons was ready to surround and rob him. When Wu turned around, there were about 4 burly men blocking the exit. One of them spoke up, "If you cooperate, we can be nice. If you resist, we will reward you, but it will be with a few hits." However, just as they were threatening, their bags were quickly snatched away by someone. Casey moved swiftly to steal. In one go, she ran off with 3 bags, but the bald man caught her and shouted, "Ha, you bastard. You think I will let you run away a second time after making it once?" Casey quickly threw 3 bags behind her and shouted, "Wu Chen, catch!" Wu Chen heroically acted to save the beauty, exclaiming, "Let her go. The urgent matter is the item. Hurting others is not the purpose of the game." He threw the 3 bags to the ground and said, "Let her go, and I will give you all these bags." He held the beauty's hand, but at that moment, food was the true priority. Women were just fleeting. He tossed the beauty back towards Wu Chen and ran off with the bags. After a while, Wu Chen took the beauty back to the resting area. However, she still seemed very upset and said, "Ha, so annoying. I was so careless. I almost." Wu Chen smiled faintly, then pulled out his jacket and said, "It's okay, look. Isn't this what we need? I just didn't have enough time earlier, so I can only get this much, but it's enough." Casey wasted no time and pushed him down onto the mattress to say, "You saved me twice now, and you even have skills that are faster than mine. I think I need to learn more about you." Wu Chen immediately understood her intention and replied, "Well, that depends on how good your skills are." So the two of them closed the door. Feeling a bit warm, they slowly took off their shirts for some air and expertly exchanged fluid. The scene in the room was now completely opposite to what was happening outside. While the two were intimately embracing each other inside, outside in the playground, others were fiercely fighting for food, resulting in injuries. Some unfortunate young men even lost their lives. Meanwhile, Wu Chen was fortunate enough to be struggling with a beauty, and so they continued like this until the end of the 5th day. The manager announced loudly, "Wu Chen and Casey have successfully passed the level. They've gone out to play, and besides earning money, they also brought back a girl. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone is true, brothers." After completing the 2nd day's game, besides Casey and Wu Chen, 2 other young men had also made it through. They entered a resting room arranged by the organizers. The other young men quickly rushed to the dining table, devouring food hungrily since they hadn't had a full meal in days and had to fight and bleed a lot. Casey turned and said, "Compared to eating, taking a nice shower still makes me feel more comfortable." Wu Chen smiled faintly and replied, "All right, then I will wait for you." A little later, Casey entered the room, starting to feel the warm water that was incredibly relaxing. She began to ponder what the next match would be like. Would she be able to handle the next game without Wu Chen? A moment later, the break ended. The four of them went outside to prepare for the next round. The host spoke up, "The break time is over. Please listen carefully to the rules of the final round of the game. This time the rules are simpler than in the previous rounds." He laughed. "Ha ha ha. The so-called rule is to fight barehanded, with no binding rules. There just needs to be one winner." A moment later, the LED board lit up showing the matchups. Wu Chen versus the Black Man, Casey versus Donald. The host announced, "The matches can now begin. Everyone start. This is the time to showcase your abilities." Blackman had been waiting for this moment for a long time. He had harbored a deep hatred for Wu Chen and Casey since a few days ago. He menacingly threatened, "Now you have no way out. There can only be one winner. After dealing with you, I'll take care of that girl." On the other side, Donald was gleefully laughing as if it were harvest season while facing off against Casey. "I won't go easy on a beautiful woman," he said. Casey had a serious expression, thinking to herself, "It's over. A direct confrontation, a one-on-one battle, just as I predicted. This is really difficult." Donald took a fighting stance and loudly taunted, "Ha, what's wrong? Are you scared?" Across from them, the match between Wu Chen and the dark-skinned opponent was incredibly tense. The dark-skinned fighter charged in, throwing deadly punches, while Wu Chen calmly dodged. He even took the opportunity to remind Casey, "Casey, put all your strength into a kick to his stomach." So Casey launched a kick at the speed of light. He was hit and spat blood, letting out a grunt, his eyes rolling back. Meanwhile, Wu Chen did not fight back. He chose to absorb his opponent's punches to gauge his fighting strength. He chuckled softly and said, "He has made it to the final round by starving himself. He just retaliated against me by eating a lot in a short time during the rest period. His current stamina is nothing but a scrap of paper." On Casey's side, seeing him lying on the ground, she wondered, is it really over? She still couldn't believe that everything had been so easy. The dark-skinned man angrily shouted, "Do you still have time to care about others? Are you looking down on me? I'm going to tear you apart. Take a punch." Wu Chen easily dodged and replied, "We have plenty of time. If you're good, go ahead and hit me." Then he began to counterattack. In just a few seconds, Wu Chen landed 10 painful punches on him. He was immediately enraged and retaliated, but Wu Chen dodged and countered. Seeing him clutching his stomach in pain, Wu Chen continuously struck his abdomen. Casey stood outside, stunned and amazed as she witnessed Wu Chen's fighting ability. His attacks were incredibly fast. The onlookers watched, enjoying an incredibly entertaining fight. Blood splattered everywhere. Before the blows ended, Wu Chen took a full hit to the stomach. However, Wu Chen had already beaten him to the point where he could no longer resist and gradually collapsed in front of everyone. Both of them collapsed on the ground, unconscious. Seeing this, Casey was extremely worried for Wu Chen. Wu Chen had lost consciousness along with the other person, as if he no longer had the ability to continue fighting. The host pointed at Casey and declared, "I have witnessed many people, but I must say, this is the luckiest person ever. Not just once, but many times. The champion of the game is Casey." A moment later, the losers were put onto a stretcher and taken away somewhere. The masked person spoke up. "One other vehicle is filled with entertainment tools and this flower testing machine. Tell me why we eat so much." The other person replied, "These losers are at the bottom of society wanting to participate in the game to change their lives. Their lives have long been ruined, and now there is no difference between choosing to live a miserable life or becoming entertainment or donating their organs to the wealthy and powerful." At that moment, Wu Chen opened his eyes to observe. He had heard all the conversation between the two. He thought, to avoid having to fight with my beloved Casey, I can only pretend to faint. At that moment, the other two took the person to the health check machine. The person wearing a different mask said, "Some people seem to have a good physical condition. Take them to the operating room." Suddenly, a dark-skinned man woke up, angrily shouting, "Damn it, what are you doing here? Harvesting organs? Are you planning to take one of my kidneys?" They were shocked. Huh? How could this happen? How did he wake up so quickly? They immediately charged to attack, but they were no match for the dark-skinned man. He knocked them down one by one. Wu Chen observed and thought, the fastest way to get information in a short time is only this way. He then picked up a wooden stick and raised it, not knowing what he intended to do. A little while later, a group of reinforcements arrived, consisting of several dozen people. They shouted, "Everyone hurry up! Surrender now! You're surrounded!" The dark-skinned man asked, although he wasn't clear about the specific situation. "I see you've taken their hard drive, right?" Wu Chen replied, "I will expose these illegal contents." "Is he serious?" "Then expose these scum before the law. Take this and find a way to escape. I will handle him." Although this dark-skinned man was somewhat ruthless, he was still a good guy. He bravely charged into the enemy's encirclement, hitting one after another. The people in purple said, "Be careful, don't hurt the internal organs and the eyeballs. Otherwise, there will be no harvest." One person signaled, quickly split into two teams and chase after the fleeing guy. On the other side, Wu Chen was looking for a way out. However, all the doors were locked tight. He cursed. "Damn, another dead end?" Suddenly, Casey called from the ceiling. "Over here, Wu Chen." She reached out to grab him. Wu Chen happily said, "Casey, you really are my lucky charm." After escaping, the two rushed into each other's arms, kissing passionately as if they had been apart for a long time. Casey sweetly said, "The data has been copied. Leave the hard drive for me as a keepsake. I just don't know if we will be able to meet again in the future." Wu Chen replied, "As long as you want to." But before they could get any more affectionate, Casey cried out as an arrow struck her leg. On the other side, a disheveled young man, holding a crossbow in his left hand and dragging along a dark-skinned guy with his right, laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha, you think you can escape? In your dreams." Blackbit is down and Casey is seriously injured. Wu Chen was immediately filled with anger, his killing intent blazing as he glared at him. He said nothing and rushed to deal with the group. "Dare to hurt Casey, you'll pay with your lives." A moment later, the police arrived at the scene. Giada quickly rushed out of the car and shouted, "Wu Chen, stop. If you kill him, the group behind will escape justice." Wu Chen calmly replied, "Let the law handle it. They won't be able to run away." Hearing this, Wu Chen also stopped. The man was terrified and sweating as he was just 1 centimeter away from having his throat cut. After realizing he had survived, he cried tears of joy for escaping death. He might be the first young man in this story to be lucky enough to survive Wu Chen's hands. Wu Chen thought to himself that the police had now taken control of the scene, capturing all the members of that organization. Giada hurriedly said, "Quickly take the 2 injured people to the city hospital in New York. Hurry up." The scene shifted to another place where Wu Chen was relaxing in the bathtub. Suddenly, a female figure approached. He spoke up. "What are you doing?" Giada slowly took off her bath towel and stepped inside, responding, "Man, is there something wrong? It's normal for good friends to soak in hot springs together and warm up during the cold winter." Wu Chen coldly replied, "This is neither a hot spring nor a beach, and in short, we are not friends." Giada didn't care much and gradually hugged him from behind, then took out a card with the agent's picture on it. She said, "The file on you didn't mention that you're outdated. I have this for you. This is your new identity in this country. I hope you can gradually embrace it." This implicit statement made Wu Chen understand what he was supposed to embrace. He took the card and smiled, responding, "That's not my main concern. I just want to know how Casey is doing now." Giada whispered in his ear, asking, "I've given you some good things, so why don't you come closer?" In response to this, as a form of polite expression between friends, Wu Chen sighed. He set the card aside and asked, "By the way, what about the other players?" Wu Chen helped Giada catch crabs and snails in the hot spring. This made her unable to contain herself and exclaim, "I never thought your skills would be this good." "Ah," she continued, "are you almost done? The injured people from the game have basically been taken to a central hospital in New York." Wu Chen responded, "Then I have to go check on the situation." He increased his pace and went to work. Half a day later, Wu Chen arrived at the New York hospital, but was stopped at the door by 2 police officers. "Sir, the injured people on this floor are in a special condition. Visitors will need to present identification." Wu Chen took out his special operations card and replied, "This is my identification." Seeing this, the 2 police officers warmly invited him in and said, "Sorry, please come in, sir." Another young man asked, "Sir, have you become an official in America now? Congratulations." Wu Chen coldly walked into the patient's room to visit his beloved Casey. He asked confusingly, "Nurse, where is the patient in this bed? Casey, where is she?" The nurse's sister replied, "Please wait a moment while I check. Patient Casey has just been discharged." Wu Chen asked in surprise, "Huh? Exactly how long ago was that?" The nurse answered, "If you need a specific check, please follow me. Sir, it was just 10 minutes ago." He spoke up. "Still, 10 minutes means she may not have gone far." He then interrupted, "Sorry, please let me use this computer for a moment." The nurse's sister looked confused and stepped outside. After checking the camera, Wu Chen saw Casey being taken out of the hospital by a young man dressed modestly. He zoomed in on the image of the young man escorting her out. "What a shame. It won't be easy to find her," he muttered. In close-up, there was a young man with straw-colored hair and mesmerizing eyes, specifically ghostly eyes. He continued mumbling, "Casey mentioned the orphanage before, so I might as well take a chance on that." So Wu Chen hurried to find that orphanage based on her account. Sometime later, the scene shifted to the basement of the orphanage on the outskirts of New York. Casey was resting on a bed. The young man complained, "Casey, I told you not to play that game, but you didn't listen." You insisted on going. Now you're hurt like this. The young man quickly downed a whole bottle of beer and then angrily threw it hard on the floor. Clearly she could leave. There was no need to fight like this anymore. To me, it wasn't worth it at all. The young man pulled out a pistol from the drawer and immediately turned to leave as if to take revenge for her. He said fiercely, "If you dare to join the game, then I can also compete with the other players." At that moment, Wu Chen walked into the room and asked, "Are you the orphan of the same age as Casey?" The young man questioned, "Huh? Who are you? How did you get here? Do you know Casey?" Wu Chen replied, "We are friends." The young man aimed the gun at him. "Ha! I grew up with her. Why have I never heard of her? Did I have such a friend?" Wu Chen took out a photo of him and Casey overcoming challenges. "We met in the game." The young man broke down in tears, happy for her, saying, "I only know that Casey is a wonderful soul, a girl who deserves it. As long as she can leave here, she will definitely be able to make new friends right away. As long as she leaves here, she will have a normal life like everyone else." Wu Chen asked in confusion what he meant by that. The young man replied that we should first not disturb her, let her rest, and then talk later. After a while, he recounted that for over 20 years, Father Wilson had been searching for homeless orphans like Casey and me all over America. The priest said he would try to provide everything we needed to grow up, so we could feel secure growing up here. He paused for a moment before continuing. "It sounds quite nice and wonderful, right? But one day I discovered that old Wilson had been putting drugs in our food to control our minds. Some children definitely would not be able to resist. Out of fear, I could only pretend to be dead to amuse him, until I found out that Casey knew the truth just like me and we had planned to escape. Like the controlled ones hiding all over the city, we were beaten up badly. We tried to escape many times, but were caught and beaten. Then the priest, frustrated, said he would allow us to leave, but all of us were guilty and had to buy our pardons. Each of us had to pay $1 million for baptism. We worked extremely hard to gather that $1 million specifically by engaging in robbery. At first, I wanted her to leave first, but who would have thought she actually came to join the game?" As he finished speaking, the young man knelt down, filled with emotion. It was unexpected that Casey was stuck in the swamp of darkness. In this case, my responsibility is solely to end Casey's nightmare. After hearing the story, Wu Chen turned and walked away. He instructed, "You stay here to take care of Casey. Let me handle that priest." A moment later, outside the church, a group of thugs was already waiting at the door, armed and looking towards Wu Chen as he approached. But the expressions of the young men looked like they had been drugged for a long time, appearing dazed and unclear. The group rushed in to attack, but Wu Chen calmly kept his hands in his pockets. The sounds of fists and kicks echoed, and within seconds, Wu Chen had taken down the drug youths. Wu Chen then flung open the church door. An old man holding a Bible stood there. Seeing Wu Chen had come to confront him, he quickly closed the Bible and spoke. "Stranger, I do not know you. Why are you behaving so rudely?" This was the priest mentioned by the young blonde man who had drugged the orphans to control them. His name was Arian Wilson. Wu Chen entered with a commanding presence. He was straightforward, stating his purpose directly. "I will take Casey away. All the complicated ties between the two of you will be completely erased right now." The old man with a dangerous face replied, "I advise you one thing, those who meddle in other people's affairs don't end up well. You are not the first, nor will you be the last." Wu Chen slowly replied, "Oh, benefits, there's no need to waste time investigating backgrounds, although this method is a bit rude." He then stepped forward, facing the old man with a disdainful smile. "The best way to deal with someone like you is..." The old man interrupted, asking, "So what do you want?" Wu Chen replied, "What I want to." Of course, was like this. He swung his fist and knocked the old man's face. Indeed, with trash like him, there was no need for many words. The old man took the powerful punch and was sent flying over 10 meters. Old Wilson angrily shouted, "Holy shit, do you really dare to do that to me?" Wu Chen replied with a face as cold as ice, "Don't think this will end easily. You haven't even endured a fraction of Casey's suffering. What are you shouting for?" The old man was about to say something, but Wu Chen continued to swing his fist, directly punching him in the face. He shouted, "We, the people of Bloxia, have upheld the principle of rewarding virtue with virtue and repaying hatred with hatred for thousands of years." He delivered another powerful kick to the stomach, followed by a free joint adjustment. The man soon felt pain to the point where his eyes rolled back and blood spurted from his mouth. Wu Chen asked, "How does it feel? I want you to feel Casey's pain as clearly as possible. So how do you feel now?" At this moment, old Wilson was in so much pain that he just wanted to muster a little strength to crawl away, but Wu Chen didn't care. He slowly walked over to the table to grab a gold object, planning to use it to come up with another trick. "I've beaten you to this point, and I'm a little tired now. I'll take a break and then continue. Now, how should I torture you next? Let me think. He reached into his pocket and hurriedly pressed his phone to call someone. Wu Chen noticed and said, "Finally calling for backup, huh? Why are you so slow? Did you think I kept one of your hands for what? Of course, it's so you can secretly call your buddies." Everything was under Wu Chen's control, so he decided to wait and try to wipe out this rubbish organization. But about 5 minutes later, just when he was about to hit the old man again, a group of police burst in. "Police search warrant," they shouted. "Search warrant? Why was there suddenly this order?" Wu Chen immediately stopped, smiled. "Did you arrive so quickly?" "Now that's more like it." Half a day later, Wu Chen was quickly sentenced, but do not think this was beyond his expectations. In fact, it was all part of the plan. When he was taken back to have his memento photo taken, Wu Chen was assigned the number 831,492. He thought to himself, "Indeed, the reinforcements from Father Wilson Andean are very capable. In America, being sentenced so quickly like this is not an easy feat, but this is the result I wanted." Thanks to this, the big players behind the scenes have been brought to light. Next, this is my real match. System, quickly restart the time loop, Wu Chen said out loud. The scene returned to the earlier statement by Wilson. Those who meddle in others' affairs will not have a good ending. You are not the first, nor will you be the last. If I let them go, what do I gain? Wu Chen spoke up. Your accomplices, the Wall Street mogul, the owner of New York Bell's Bank, and Judge Salmon Chase. With such seamless cooperation, what more could you do? Old Wilson was horrified, sweating profusely, his voice trembling. You. Pleased with himself, Wu Chen left, not forgetting to leave a message. Don't be so surprised, Father Arian. In the end, whether I can deal with you or not, we shall see. There will definitely be a result within 24 hours. A while later, Wu Chen began writing code to analyze the data. Whether it was Father Arian or Have, they were essentially just small pawns under Judge Salmon. Salmon turning a blind eye to the crimes of these individuals was entirely because Bell's was the supreme sponsor of the party. In other words, the one that needed to be dealt with was none other than Bell's. 2 hours later, in a towering building, an old man holding a cigar spoke. Young man, I do not know you, nor did I arrange to meet you. Ha ha! It seems you have some tricks up your sleeve. So tell me, what do you want from me? Wu Chen replied, Mr. Bells, I want Harvey from TLC and Father Arian to pay for what they have done. I hope that you and Judge Salmon will let their case be handled according to the law. The old man laughed and asked, What if I say no? Wu Chen replied, To him they are just minor characters, insignificant. What they bring him is worth nothing. For instance, Harvey can only mine and cultivate a few Hollywood stars for his amusement. He stepped closer, confidently stating, With your abilities, without Harvey, you'll tell me there's nothing you want but can't have. And as for Father Arian, to you, he serves even less purpose. He just brings over a few children, no different from slaves, for you to reenact punishments for entertainment. The old man remained calm, lighting a cigar and taking a few puffs. Looking at Wu Chen, he seemed to enjoy saying, Ha ha, young man, it seems you've done some decent investigating. But is that all you're capable of? Wu Chen smiled coldly, responding, Of course, they have other functions. You indulge them, even assist them in their wrongdoing, essentially to filter out figures within the government. Who are the compliant collaborators, and who are the troublemakers? When they commit crimes, it becomes immediately apparent. The old man asked further, his tone disdainful. Ha, indeed. What else? Wu Chen replied, his gaze sharp. You have outgrown the desire for money and women. What you want more is power. You think a lot about the future, about the development of the world. You want to leave a lasting legacy. The old man laughed loudly. Ha ha ha. How can I hear such words from the mouth of a young person like you? It's rather funny, isn't it? He replied calmly. That's right. It's not wrong. Even though it sounds foolish, that's exactly what I want you to ask. What if I said I could help you achieve that? Unlike Harvey and Arian, they are merely experiments. The old man exclaimed, astonished. Do you have that ability? Wu Chen did not respond, only holding up a datasheet. There are about 10 major players like you in the US. Among them, the Harriman family is your biggest rival. They have deep connections with the assassin group on the darknet, especially with the propagandists. They have ruined quite a few of your plans. As for me, I have some experience dealing with propagandists. As for other matters, I believe there will be many things for us to cooperate on. The old man chuckled happily. Ha ha ha. This arrogant young man, but I like your spirit. To completely eliminate the propagandists, it will take time. The old man turned and called out loudly. Wait a moment. Secretary, come in here. The tall secretary entered politely. Yes, sir. The old man said, Send all the evidence of Harvey and Arian's crimes to Judge Salmon Chase. Immediately throw both of them in jail for review, serve time, and miss the new year. The secretary responded loudly, Yes. She withdrew. The old man continued, I work quickly, so I don't have time to wait for you to find evidence slowly. If what you say is true, then today, whatever it is, because the conversation is unclear. After that, come to see me again tomorrow. Wu Chen replied something, but the author was not in a hurry to reveal it. So, within half an hour after the order was given, both Harvey and Arian were rewarded, with a pair of silver bracelets shining like stars. Who knows how many springs it will take to meet again. Returning to Wu Chen, he was declared the new boxing champion of the night, officially born. At that moment, the MC shouted loudly, "Congratulations to champion Wu Chen." Below, everyone cheered enthusiastically. Wu Chen thought, Bao's requirement is for me to win this boxing match tonight to prove my ability. What kind of evidence is this? Below, the little girl Jada cheered, calling out, "Wu Chen, you are really amazing. When I get back, I will reward you." A while later, she playfully wrapped her arm around him and said, "I used to hate the muscle-bound idiots who only knew how to use their strength. But Wu Chen, you've given me a new perspective on power. You're the kind of man that others can't help but be drawn to." She blushed furiously, pouting her lips toward Wu Chen, but he didn't care and answered the ringing phone. Wu Chen asked, "Hello? Casey, are you awake?" Seeing this, Giada felt sulky and a wave of jealousy swept over her. "Ha! I don't want you talking to another woman right now. Am I not attractive enough?" Wu Chen thought to himself. So this is why Bell wants me to participate in the boxing match. He understands his daughter's matchmaking preferences. Once I win the championship, Giada will see me as hers. At that point, it will be hard for anyone to reject Giada. According to Bell's plan, only when Giada and I become a couple will he truly be able to bind me to the same path. Wu Chen remained lost in thought, speculating about Bell's deep motives, ignoring the beautiful Giada, who was free to do as she pleased.